everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to take a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Humble Origins Senator Shockwave. So this figure is a part of an Amazon exclusive 2-pack, but I'm going to be taking a look at both figures separately, so make sure you stay tuned for a Ryan Pax's review coming up on the channel very soon. Let me know think of this figure in the comment section down below. Is it a pickable or pass? Now let's take a look at the figure's packaging. So here we have the packaging. Starting at the very front, we have Transformers on the side. We have the Legacy Evolution logo at the bottom. We have a really cool work shot of Senator Shockwave and Orion Pax on the front there. We also do have Humble Origins 2-pack, Senator Shockwave, and Data Clerk Orion Pax in white text. If we do turn to the side here, we have a bit of an Easter egg, or kind of a hint towards the second Amazon exclusive, the Rise of Tyranny, which that review is coming up on the channel very soon. And speaking of that pack, on the other side, of course, we have half of the Legacy Evolution artwork. So if you do get the other Rise of Tyranny 2-pack, you can put both boxes together to complete the artwork. And in the back, of course, we have several product shots showing off all the figures. So, of course, Orion Pax transforms in 15 steps. We have a product shot of him in his robot and truck mode. We have Senator Shockwave, he transforms in 20 steps. We have a product shot of him in his robot and jet mode. And that is pretty much it for the packaging. So let's now get into the review. Here we have Senator Shockwave in his robot mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very top with that head sculpt. There's some really nice white for the face, some blue for the eyes, some blue for the main helmet section, and there's some silver for the crest. As for these really cool intake sections behind the head, there's some really nice internal mechanical detailing done in white and blue. As for the shoulders and forearms, mostly done in that blue. There's some white for the bicep and the hand. There's these really cool kind of spike fin pieces sticking out the side done in white and red. And I do love the chest with all the different shades of blue and red. Lots of layers and spikes, just looks really cool. We do have the crotch mostly done in blue with some really nice silver and angles. There's tons of surface detailing on the front of the legs there done in blue and white. Definitely could have used some more paint apps, like maybe a different shade of blue, like some metallic blue or silver or gunmetal gray. Definitely would have helped a lot with the figure, just make it a bit more interesting and noticeable. I do like how they actually kept the posts from the Siege. So this is actually using the Siege Starscream mold. Of course, a ton of new molding. I will do a comparison with that figure in just a sec. But they did keep one really nice detail. So in Siege, one of the main playable features was these posts here. You could actually attach a plastic piece, so it makes the figure look like they've been shot or exploding, which I thought was pretty fun. I'm really glad they kept it on this figure. Another common detail or kind of attribute a part of Starscream was the really weird foot design, of course, the spike in the back and front. I do like the design, but it's always been a pain to actually stand these figures up because they're usually very wobbly. So if you ever see the figure wobbling, that's the reason why. But if we do look at the back, overall really clean. Of course, we do have the huge thruster kind of wing pieces, which are really different from Starscream, which I really like. We have this huge thruster section here done in gunmetal gray, which is blast wave compatible. They do have that same kind of spring feature on the legs, which fills in the gaps, which is nice. And the back of the arms, pretty much no waffling, so overall really clean back. I don't really consider the wings kibble in my opinion. That's just my opinion anyway. And there is some articulation in the wings that I'll cover in just a sec. There is some more gunmetal gray at the top. There's actually some really cool wiring and surface detailing on the wings themselves. If you can see there, that looks really good. So just flipping back to the front, just quickly straighten the figure up. So as for articulation, if you do have any of the previous releases, such as, Skywarp, Thundercracker, Starscream, the articulation is pretty much the exact same thing. The only major change you can tell the difference is where the wings are concerned, that I'll take a look at last. So starting at the very top with the head sculpt, of course, the head can look side to side and up and down. Very little movement there. You can barely even tell. There is a butterfly joint forward. The arm can actually move out and in and forward and back as well. There is a double jointed elbow band, which is really cool. And of course, the hand has a wrist rotation. I will cover little fins a little bit later when we actually take a look at the accessories. So there is a somewhat of a waist rotation. It's actually blocked by this huge backpack here, so it really can only kind of move side to side, unfortunately. That really does come as no surprise because I have every version of this figure or this mold. So that same, waist problem or waist rotation we've kind of known for a while now, so no surprise there. It could be better, but it's kind of understandable. I'm kind of used to it by now. But as for the legs, of course, there is rotation at the top. They can also move out and in, forward and back. There's also a really good knee bend because of that spring feature on the inside. And there is an ankle pivot, and also the foot can move forward and back, sort of an ankle or foot pivot or moving forward and back. So really good articulation. It definitely could have been improved where the foot is concerned. I can somewhat excuse the waist because of the backpack, but there's really no reason why that couldn't have been better. So let me just quickly straighten the figure up back to a neutral pose, and then I will take a look at the wings. There is actually a swivel at the base so it can move forward and back and in and out. There is a hinge hinge there as well. So you can pull off some really cool dynamic poses of the figure, you know, flying off into battle and attacking, which is really, really nice. So let me just place the figure down. So as for accessories, there's actually a reason why I weighted the articulation on these little fin pieces, because technically those are the accessories. So let me explain. So they're actually removable. You can put them on any mech tick port across the entire figure. So I'm actually using the forearm ones now. You can technically put them in the hands, at the shoulders. So I'm pretty sure there's some mech tick ports on the sides of the legs. It's a nice feature to be able to display them and put them in different places. I don't really consider them accessories because they're not a weapon. They're kind of just really a display or appearance piece. Personally, I would have rather had them be, you know, permanent pieces, like you can't remove them. I really don't know why they're removable. That's just my opinion anyway. It would have been nice if they were just like a pin, you know, shot through and just permanently a part of the arm, because you technically do not have to remove them for transformation. I will show you, of course, when I'm transferring it in a little bit. So it would have been better if they were just a permanent part of the figure and it included maybe like a sword or like a blaster or something. I do know they can't give this figure the null rays because, you know, this is using the Siege Starscream mold, so it can't give him the null rays because he's not a seeker. That does make perfect sense. It just seems like they could have done a little bit better, because definitely in comparison to his Packmate Orion Pax, which his review is coming very soon, he comes with a lot more accessories. He comes with a brand new axe and a blaster and an ammo clip. So creativity wise with the accessories, definitely could have been better. But let's now get down to, of course, the articulation for the fins. And just in case you're wondering, there is a pin shot through there so they can actually hinge forward and back. There's also a swivel so they can hinge up and down. So there is some nice display options with them. But again, I think it would have been better if they just given them something else, like a sword or weapon, because as it is, it's a bit uncreative and a bit lame in my opinion. But now for some comparisons. Here he is with his Packmate Orion Pax, which I do have to say, I think this is the better figure of the two overall. But as for accessories, they definitely dropped the ball. This is a huge improvement as for accessories between the two. But now for a mold comparison, here he is with the Siege Starscream. So just in case you're wondering, this is the premium finish release. There is really no mold change between the Siege one and the premium finish. Just in case you're wondering, I wanted to make that clear. So as of mold changes, there is actually quite a few. So I'm actually going to start with similarities because there's very few and they're very quite obvious right now. So where the arm and shoulder is concerned, that's pretty much the exact same molding. I do think the hand is slightly different. I could be wrong though. Of course, you see the huge intake sections are pretty much the exact same thing. The legs, the entire leg design is the exact same thing. The crotch is different. The chest is completely different. Of course, there's the newly added accessories or fin pieces. As you can see, obviously the wings are completely different. I'm actually going to turn them around so you can see what I'm talking about. The entire back is quite different. The back of the legs and this thruster section is the same though, but the main wing piece here is completely different, which I'm actually really glad. I was thinking when I heard all the rumors about a center Shockwave, I was assuming, you know, we learned it was going to be using the Siege Starscream mold. I was assuming it was going to be pretty much, you know, Siege Starscream with a brand new head sculpt and a brand new deco, but that was it. I'm really actually happy of how many new pieces are a part of this figure, so really good to see that. But let me just quickly straighten him up and bring him back to the front here. We can now get another Senator comparison. Here he is with Senator Ratbat, and his review is coming up on the channel very soon as well. I think they look pretty cool side by side. And actually let me know of the Senators, which one is your favorite, Senator Ratbat or Senator Shockwave? And that is pretty much it for comparisons and this mode. Let's now get down to transformation. So I do want to say again, you do not have to remove the fin pieces if you don't want to. You can, just for extra clearance. It really is up to you. I'm actually going to remove them just to get some extra space. I typically don't. I just don't want to make a mistake or them get in the way. So you just, of course, can just pop them off. They're just using that same peg and port system, just like that. And you can take them off to the side like that. And there we go. So the transformation is pretty similar to Siege Starscream. You're actually going to open up the arm like that. You can actually fold in the hands and then hinge this entire section up and close that up like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Just open up the arm, fold in the hands, use that double joints, fold that up, close that up just like that. And then what you want to do is actually disconnect these huge intake sections back here. They're actually using tabs and slots. And this little panel here actually goes into those slots right there as well. Then you can hinge this entire assembly down. As you can see, of course, there is corresponding tabs and slots on both sides. That's just going to tab together like that. Then what you can do is actually tab this panel into the back of the head. There is a slot in the back of the head and a tab on the panel itself. There we go. You're going to push the head all the way back as much as you can. Disconnect the entire chest panel here. And if you're wondering about this popping off, because that was one of the major QC problems on all the versions of Siege Starscream, this chest panel would pop off all the time. This one is 1,000 times better. I wish, of course, they made that fix a bit earlier, because this is like the 11th use of this mold. I'm still glad they changed it now. But now what you're going to do is actually go to the waist. You're going to rotate it all the way around like that. You can then collapse the feet, the heel spur and the foot like that. And they're actually going to use this really cool kind of spring mechanism. And there is a slot here and there is tabs on the legs. You're just going to hinge that up all the way, collapse it, and there we go. And then what you're going to do is actually tab the arms into the legs. So there is a tab here and slots on the inside of the arms. There we go. Tab them there. And then what you want to do is actually collapse the wings into place, hinge all of this forward. So this entire section here is actually going to kind of fold under the nose cone. Fold under the nose cone. As you can see, there is a tab on the wing and a slot on the arm. Those will just tab into place. Make sure everything is nice and secure. You're going to untab this little booster section. There is a tab there and a slot right there. This will just hinge down like that. And this is just going to fold to the top and collapse into place. As for the last step, you're going to attach the little wing pieces. Just plug them into place and plug them into place. And there we have Senator Shockwave in his jet mode. Let's take a look at the details. Here we have Senator Shockwave in his jet mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very front with this huge nose cone section here, mostly done in blue, with these really cool thruster intake sections done in red, with some really nice wire and mechanical detailing on them. Tons of really nice surface detailing on these sections here with the really cool fins in the back. You can obviously tell, of course, this used to be the Tetrajet from the Siege Starscream mold with some new pieces added onto it, but it still looks pretty cool. On the side here, of course, you have some little wings, definitely out of proportion with the rest of the figure. Could have been a lot bigger, in my opinion, would have looked better. We have this really cool kind of thruster section in the back done in gunmetal gray, which is Blast of a Piece compatible. We do have these other smaller thrusters here, which did used to be the feet, but I think work really well. And overall, just an excellently well-designed figure or jet mode, in my opinion. I think they probably could have added maybe some more paint apps and some new molding at this front section here, because there's quite a bit of new molding in the back. Maybe a new end for the nose cone would have been better, just to make things a bit more interesting, because you can definitely tell in this area this is reused from the Siege Starscream. It's quite obvious, but overall, a really cool looking jet mode in my opinion. As for accessories, they kind of already attached. They actually do form the wings, and again, they do look really cool paint-wise, like the white and red, but definitely could have been bigger, because they are very small in comparison to the rest of the jet. But now for some comparisons, here he is with the premium finish Starscream. As you can see, mold-wise, there is some major similarities, especially where the nose cone is and this tip section is, but the entire wing is completely different. Just kind of a front view there. I think it would have been nice maybe if they kept that transparent, this is actually yellow on this one. It would have been nice if there was like a transparent piece of blue. They actually removed that. It's just painted blue this time. I think it would have looked better if it was actually clear plastic. And if we do look at the back, there is definitely some similarities back here. Even the new molded pieces, of course, the chest still ends up in the same place, even though it's a different piece. Huge booster section and the feet. Quite a bit of the transformation is the same. So if you do have this mold, you kind of know what to expect. But they do look really cool side by side. And please do let me know in the comment section below of all of the versions of the Siege Starscream, which is a lot of them. I think it's like 13 or 12. Which one is your favorite version? I have to say probably Skywarp or maybe the Senator Shockwave is my favorite if I had to pick two. I'm not sure if I could pick one. There's just too many. And now for another comparison, here he is with his packmates, Ryan Packs. I think they look really cool side by side. I actually kind of like the shared color scheme. I think they look really cool side by side. Definitely that same, red, blue, and white color really works side by side. And that is pretty much it for this mode. So let's now get down to reverse transformation. So what you want to do is go to the back. You actually can untab this entire chest piece here, hinge this down. Then you can actually untab the thruster section, hinge this up. There is a slot there and a tab right there. Just tab that into place like that. There we go. Then you can untab the huge thruster sections like this. Untab the thruster sections. There is tabs on the huge thruster wing section, and there is slots on the arm. Then untab them from the legs like that. And then what you can do is actually unfold the legs. And how these were tabbed into places, there is tabs on the legs and slots right there. Hinge these out, rotate at the waist like that. Then you can fully extend and open up the feet and the heel spur like that. Then you can straighten out the arm. Straighten out the arm. You can then open up the arm itself and then extend it using that double jointed elbow. And then bring the hand out and then close it up. Do the same thing on the other side. Open up the arm, fold out the hands, and then extend it and then close it up like that. And then you can bring the chest piece down, flip out the head, untab that little back panel, and how that was tabbed into places, there is a slot in the back of the head and a tab right there. Then what you can do is actually disconnect the nose cone piece, and then you're just going to fold these sections all the way up like that, which this can be a bit hard to show at times, but there is tabs here and slots right there. There's also this section here. There is a tab on the panel, and there's a small, tiny little notch. You might not be able to see. There's a small, tiny little notch in this intake section. You're supposed to align all of this up like that. So just tab all this into place, and that should align up like that. Let me just quickly straighten everything up. And there we have the reverse transmission of center Shockwave. Let's now get down to the final thoughts. So now for the final thoughts for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Humble Origins Center Shockwave. I think overall this is a really good figure, probably one of my favorite versions or reuses or repaints of the Siege Starscream mold. Please do let me know in the comment section down below what's your favorite use of the Siege Starscream mold. If you can't pick one, because there's just so many, there's like 15 different versions, please put 2 in the comments. So overall it's a really good figure. Starting in the robot mode, I do like all the new molded pieces. There's a really cool brand new chest and head sculpt. The huge wings in the back are brand new. Tons of articulation. I do like how you can angle them out so it makes the figure look like he's flying. It would have been nice if they were blast piece compatible, but that's a really small minor complaint. I do think the huge disappointment, kind of let down with this figure, is the lack of accessories. So technically his accessories, quote unquote, I guess that's what they're calling them, are the fin pieces on the side of his arms. So you can pretty much technically put him on any mech type port across the entire figure. There's some at his shoulders, his forearms, his hands, on the side of his legs. It's a nice option that you can place them in different ways, but it really would have been nice if you included like a weapon or a sword or something. I guess you can use your imagination and say they're like blades or like daggers or knives or something. I don't know, but definitely would have been a huge improvement if he included some sort of weapon or sword or something. I know they couldn't have included null rays. You know, this is using the Siege Starscream mold, so it wouldn't have made sense to include those same null rays because he's not a seeker, but maybe they could have taken the sword from Shatterglass Starscream, another use of this mold in the Shatterglass line. They could have taken that sword and given it to him. I think that would have been a really cool addition. It might have not been accurate because I'm pretty sure this is a design taken from a comic book. It might have not been accurate to his comic book appearance or design. That is true, but I think it would have really made a world of difference because it just seems like he's missing something, especially when you compare him alongside his pack mates, Orion Pax, the deluxe class figure. He comes with a brand new axe and an ammo clip and a blaster. He comes with like 4 accessories, and this guy comes with 2 wings. But articulation is overall really good. If you do have any other use of this mold, you kind of know what to expect here. The only really major change is the back wings, of course, because it's new molding, so there is quite a bit of movement articulation in those, which is really nice to see. They can actually hinge in and out and forward and back or up and down, which is really nice to see. Definitely one thing that was always kind of a problem or a complaint I had with the articulation with any use of this mold is the ankle pivot. It barely goes out, and there's really no reason why it can't. There's nothing really stopping them from doing it. Another thing that's slightly limited is the waist articulation. It can really only go slightly side to side, which does make sense because he does have a huge backpack, so that's perfectly fine by me. I've kind of grown used to it, and it really doesn't bother me anymore. As for transformation, it's pretty much the exact same thing as the Siege Starscream mold or any use of that, so there's not a lot of brand new steps. I think the only thing that really changes is the transformation of the wings. You know, you slightly tab them in different ways, but not a lot is different. I also do have to say the tolerances in some areas of the figure have definitely improved over previous uses. One of the hugest tolerance problems on Siege Starscream, pretty much any version from Siege before this, was the chest panel. It would always pop off every time you transform it. So many people have a problem with that, and they finally, at least on my copy of this figure, Center Shockwave finally fixed that problem, which is really good. It's a bit late because this is like the 13th use of the mold, but I'm still glad they fixed it, especially for this exclusive pack. As for the jet mode, I actually do quite like it. It's cool. I definitely think the little wing accessories are way out of proportion with the rest of the jet, because the jet's, really big and chunky, has huge thrusters, and the wings are like super small and tiny, so definitely should have fixed that. It's just another problem to do with those accessories. Definitely should have improved that. I do like the design of them. The red and white looks really good with the rest of the figure. I also really do like how the deco of this figure matches really well and kind of contrasts really well with the Ryan packs. It's kind of that same blue, red, and white mixture. It looks really good together. As for the jet mode itself, I really don't have that many complaints. I guess it would have been nice if they maybe added some new molding where the nose cone is concerned, because there's a ton of new molding at the back, but it kind of seems like they just ran out of money or ran out of ideas to actually change the nose cone. It's a cool nose cone, but there is definitely a lack of paint, and they could have been nice maybe if there was like some added spikes or maybe some added, I don't know, panels or wings or something, just to spice it up, because it looks very similar to Sea Starstream. Also, this is more of a want rather than a complaint, but on the other uses of this mold, they actually had a bit of transparent plastic. It would kind of vary per every figure. Starscream would have like red or yellow, Skyward would have like purple, and so on and so on. I think like Red Wing had red. It would have been nice if they actually kept that kind of continuous theme. With this one, unfortunately, they did remove that transparent plastic. It's now just painted blue. It would have been nice maybe if we got like some clear blue plastic, or maybe like some, I don't know, some clear red plastic or something. I think that would look really good, but that again is more of a want rather than a complaint. Overall, I do recommend this pack and this figure. Again, do remember this is an Amazon exclusive. This is not a solo mainline release. You cannot get this just as one figure, so you do have to keep that in mind. If you want this figure, you will have to get the whole pack. I guess you could get it loose on eBay. I do recommend it. I think this is definitely my favorite of the two figures a part of this pack, but definitely one of the major improvements that was needed to be made was the accessories. I do hope you enjoyed this review. I will review Orion packs very soon on the channel. Make sure you stay tuned for that, and I will see you next time.